Hello students, in this video we will study about the concept of strings in C programming language. So first we will discuss what is a string, how we can declare a string, how strings can be initialized. Then we will discuss some string handling functions which are available in C programming language. Students, just like integer and float, in C, character is a data type which is used to store the value of a character actually. So just like integer and floats, we can declare a data type of type char, and using format specifier %c, we can scan and we can print the value of this character data type, and we can also initialize this data type using single quotes only. So here you can see this variable ch of data type char is initialized with h. That means the value of this ch is h actually. So one thing we have to keep in mind, that a character constant will always be initialized or will always be used with single quotes. And what is a string? So a string is a collection of these characters. A string is nothing but a word or a sentence, or you can say the sequence of characters. And in C programming, a character array is used to represent a string. So a string is a array of characters, and declaration of a string is what? Just like we declare an array of integer, an array of float. The same way we can declare an array of characters, and a character array is nothing but a string. You can see here I declared a string of 10 characters. So this is declaration. And how we can initialize a string? So a string will be initialized using double quotes. So here you can see that a string name, you can say, which is nothing but a character array of size 10, that means it can contain 10 characters, and the value of this name is Ramesh here. So you can see here the initialization of a string will be inside these two double quotes. So just to keep remember that a character will be initialized or will be used using single quotes, while a string will be initialized or will be used using double quotes. So here you can see this is the real picture. So a name which is a character array is having size 10. So the index of the elements of this character array, or you can say the string, will start from 0 and goes up to 9, since the size of this string is 10 actually. And I have initialized this string name as Ramesh. So these are the characters which are will be there in this array, and you can see here there are only 6 characters we have initialized. So what about these 4 characters? So these 4 characters will be auto initialized with null character. You can see \0. \0 is called null character. This is called null character. So a string in C will always be terminated with a null character. You can see that a name may have any number of characters. A name may have 6 characters, a name may have 7 characters, 8 characters, and this name here is of size 10, that means it may have 10 characters. So how compiler will know how many characters are meaningful and how many characters are not meaningful? So when it sees this null character, then it come to know after this the characters are meaningless. So it will not print those characters. So whenever we will print this string, only these meaningful characters will be printed. So though the size of this array is 10 up to here, but these characters are null characters, This is why whenever the string will be used in any manipulation or printing or whatever reason, only these 6 characters from 0 to index 5 will be used. So every string is terminated with null character. So though the size of string is here 10, but we are using only 6 meaningful characters. So the real value of this string will be up to these 6 characters only, and rest of the characters are meaningless characters. So compiler will not treat them as the part of this string actually. We can initialize this string character by character also, like this. So here in this case you can see that this string is initialized with double quotes, and this string can also be initialized using this character by character method, just like we declare an integer or a float array. So one character at a time using comma as a separator. And here you can see that this space is also treated as a character. So this space is also a character actually. And this last character is null character. So this you can see is a null character. So every string must be terminated with a null character. So this is the real picture. So this is another way of initializing a string, but we should follow only this method, that we initialize a string inside these double quotes, and compiler will automatically put a null character after these characters. And for taking the value of a string from user through keyboard, we use this getS function actually. So this getS is nothing but a substitute of scanf function. So for string we generally use this getS function, and inside this getS function we pass the name of array, and to print the string on monitor we use this puts function. So here is a simple program in which we are declaring a string, then we ask user to enter the string, and we are scanning the string using this getS function, and if we want to print the string we can use this puts function. So these two functions getS and puts are basically the substitute for scanf and printf function. So this is the very simple program through which we can scan a string and put the string on monitor. In C, to manipulate or to handle the strings, we have some library functions. Like to find the length of a string, there is a function called string length, strlen. To copy a string into another string, we use a function strcpy, that is string copy function. And to concatenate or to join two strings, we use a function called strcat, the string concatenation function. And to compare two strings, whether they are the same strings or they are different strings, we use a function called string comparison, strcmp. And to reverse a string, we use a function string reverse, strrev function. So here are the library functions. strlen is to find the length of a string, strcpy is to copy a string into another string, strcat function is to use to join two strings. It is also called concatenation of two strings. strcmp is used to compare two strings, and strrev is used to reverse a string. So these are some string handling functions which we are going to discuss. And to use these string handling functions, we include a header file string.h. That means in a program, if we are using any of these string handling functions, we use or we include this header file also. And now let's discuss our very first string handling function, that is strlen. This function is basically used to count or to find the length of a string. And you see, in the length of a string, only meaningful characters will be included. That means the length of a string will be found only counting the number of meaningful characters only, not the null characters. So if we include null characters also, that will be the size of that entire character array. That is not the length of the string. So what is the syntax? strlen, and in round bracket we will pass the name of character array, or we will pass the name of string actually, not the square brackets. We are just passing the name only, and it will give the length of that string, which can be stored in an integer. So here n is what? N is an integer actually. So we can see with the example, like in this program I am using a character array of size 30, but when I am initializing this character array or this string R, I am using only some characters of this string. So New Delhi, India is the value of this R, and when we will print the value of this len1, so len1 is equal to strlen R, that means the value of len1 will be equal to the number of characters present in this string. And you see, in this string the space and the comma will also be counted. So here the space is also a character, this comma is also a character, the space in between comma and India is also a character. So these characters, these space and comma or any special characters will also be part of that string. So when we will print the value of this len1, you can see NEW 3 characters, then a space 4, DELHI, then 5 more characters, then comma, then space, and then India. All these characters will be counted. And in len2 actually we will counting the length of this string Humpty Dumpty. So 6 plus 1 space 13 will be the answer of this len2. So here we can print the value of len1 and len2, and the output will be 16 and 30. So 16 is the length of string R and 13 is the length of string Humpty Dumpty. And you can see here this function is basically returns an integer. An integer is what? The length of that string actually. Now let's discuss second function, strcpy, string copy function. So what this function does? This function copies the contents of one string into another string, and here is the syntax. We will use the name of function strcpy. Then in round brackets we will pass two strings, string 1 and string 2, and this function copies the value of string 2 into string 1. And here is the example. So in this program we are using two strings st1 and st2. The value of st1 is Rahul and the value of st2 is Abhishek, and we are using this strcpy function here. So this function copies the value of st2, that is Abhishek, into string st1. So after using this function, when we will print the value of st1 and the value of st2, both these strings will be printed as Abhishek. So you see here that we are not using equal to operator here to copy a string into another string. So it's a wrong syntax. In case of a string, if we want to copy the value of one string into another string, we will use this strcpy function. So here you can see that string 1 is the target string and string 2 is the source string. It means the value of string 2 will be copied into string 1. So the first parameter, that is string 1, will be the target string, and the second string will be the source string. So if we'll run this program, we will get this output. So both the string will be printed as Abhishek, the value of st1 and the value of st2. Both will be Abhishek after the calling of this strcpy function. And the next function is strcat function. This function basically concatenates a string at the end of another string. That means this function is used to join two strings together. The syntax of this string is strcat string 1 comma string 2. So what it does, it concatenates two strings, a string 1 and string 2, and the resultant string will be stored in string 1 actually. So here you can see string 1 is target string, and both of the string 1 and string 2 are the source strings. You can see here with the example. So I am taking two strings here, Rahul and Kumar, st1 and st2, and after calling this function strcat, the value of st1 would be Rahul Kumar. So strcat function will concatenate these two strings st1 and st2, and the resultant string will be stored in st1 actually. So when you will print the value of st1, Rahul Kumar will be printed. You can see the value of st1 is Rahul, the value of st2 is Kumar, and we are concatenating these two strings using strcat function. So after calling this function, the value of st1 would become Rahul Kumar, which is the concatenation of st1 and st2, while the value of st2 will remain unchanged. That means the value of st2 will not be changed. So this is the working of this strcat function. And now suppose if we want to print a space in between this Rahul and Kumar, then first we need to concatenate st1 with a space, then that string st1 will be concatenated with st2. Then there will be a space between Rahul and Kumar. Here is the example. So you see here, first I am concatenating string 1 with a space. So after calling this function, st1 would become Rahul followed by a space. Then we are concatenating st1 with st2. So the resultant output would be Rahul space Kumar, like this. So this will be the output of this puts st1 actually, and the value of st2 will remain unchanged. So this way we can use this strcat function. Next function is string reverse function, strrev. This function basically reverse a string. So the syntax of this string reverse function is strrev, and in a round bracket we will pass the string which need to be reversed actually. So here is the example. We are taking two strings and we are just reversing both of these strings using this strrev function. First we are calling this function strrev, and we are passing st1, and in this we are passing st2. Then we are printing both the values of st1 and st2. So after calling this function, the values of st1 and st2 will be reversed. So when we will print these values, this will be the output of this program. And you can see here the both of these strings are reversed now. Next function is strcmp, string comparison function. This function is used to compare between two strings. That means whether the strings are same or not. The syntax of this function is strcmp, and in round brackets we will pass both the strings. Then this will give a value 0 if the strings are same, and it will give a non-zero value if the strings are not same. Here is the example. We are taking two strings and we are storing the value of strcmp in a variable n, and after printing the value of this n, we can check whether the strings are same or not, or we can check this value of n with 0. If the value of n is equal to 0, it means strings are same, strings are equal, and if the value of n is non-zero, it means the values of strings are not same. So now we will discuss a program in which various string handling functions are used. The program is to check whether the given string is palindrome or not. And you know what is a palindrome string? If the reverse of a string is equal to the original string, then we will say that string is palindrome. So we will use string reverse function. We will use strcmp function to compare the original string with the reversed string. And we will use also a string copy function when we will first copy the original string into a temporary string. So what will be the syntax? We will take two strings, string A and string B. We will scan the value of string A, or we will take the value of string A from user using this getAs function. Then we will copy the value of string A into string B using strcpy function. Then we will reverse the string A, that is the original string, by using strrev function. Then after reversing the string A, we will compare both the strings string A and string B. You know, string A is now reversed and string B contains the original string. So we are comparing the original string with its reverse version. And now if the value of n is equal to 0, then of course string will be palindrome, otherwise string will not be palindrome. So here is the example of a program so that we can understand various string handling functions.